Well, the Addie Bear and I are pulling out. We're leaving. Say bye. Bye. We're leaving the farm. It was a great day here for the drone. And, you know, last week you guys, it felt like you had 10 hours of videos. We're going to keep it short and simple this week. I'm going to talk about the 2-year-olds, going to talk about the 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds, the racehorses, the burns. Not a lot to talk about because there's nothing going on in Ontario. I'll tell you about who's in to go, where they're in to go, and why they're in to go across the border. Obviously, I don't want to touch on White Tiger made a break at 1 to 5 or 3 to 5. Yeah, I saw it. I know he did. Yeah. So all that means is that Amy, who's right behind me, literally right behind me right now, is going to be upset because I'll go over and drive him next Thursday. I said I wouldn't because I didn't think I had to. But let's be clear. Oh, it's okay, sweetheart. Let's be clear before I just say I'm going over. He'll have to get in on Thursday, and I think the deciding factor of me going on Thursday would be that also One My Heart Hanover will likely be in to go. Yeah, the track. That held up good today, by the way. So we'll see. It's not my plan, but at the same time, if White Tiger makes a break in a place he's never made a break before for an unsubstantiated reason, no one knows why he did. I mean, listen, I own a piece of White Tiger. Amy and I have a piece of White Tiger. White Tiger has pieces of him put into the groups. He's kind of a pivotal horse. I've been telling everybody he's a good horse. And then he makes a break, and I don't think I have to have a massive imagination to understand how that race would have unfolded. A horse parked, the front end slowing, 1:56. He wins from here to the border. But instead, he made a break, and that's racing. I don't want to talk about Cruising in Style's bad mile yesterday. That was about as bad as he's ever looked, but that happens. It's racing. It's racing. Tim had asked me after, hey, do you want to scope him? No. Let's just assume he's sick or assume he flipped his palate. Mark Treffy and Michelle have been bugging me for at least a millennium to take Cruising in Style to New York. You have Monticello, Saratoga, Yonkers, places he's got around rather well. They're having some luck, I believe, or their trainer, a guy that they have down there is having some luck. Mr. Dickey, I think his name is Dickens. I don't know. Apparently a very nice man that does a good job. So I can't imagine, and with Cruising tripping over other horses that are in the meadows and having really a bad year, we really have to do something. And I don't want to change just for change, but at the same time, it was always a possibility that he'd end up in New York. It wasn't a certainty that he would have ever stopped at Tim's. And really, to be quite frank, I think everybody knows why he didn't go to New York right away. Right? And that's the issues of licensing. We are going to have to move some things around now. But if you're out there and you're saying, Anthony, I don't want to get a New York license for Cruising in Style, don't worry. We'll figure something out. You won't have to worry about a thing. That is Cruising in Style. Compass Rose DC made a break the day before. Hunter did not have a good week this week for us. Had a great week last week. This type of stuff happens, and as I said in the email the other day, it's easy to blame the driver or blame the trainer or blame the this or blame the that. At the end of the day, you're not going to have trotters never make breaks. It rarely happens. Compass Rose DC's made a break on Aaron. She's made a break on me. She's made a break on lots of people. Hi, sweetie. There's more here if you want it. Here you go. Do you want me to get it? Here. So, Addie Bear's a little tired. She was up at 7 a.m. today so we could get to the barn on time. Here you go, sweetie. Take it. It's okay. She was up at 7 a.m. today so she could get to the barn quick. She's getting a little tired. Time for nappies, eh? Yeah, you're a good girl. So, where were we? Cruising in Style. You know what? It was a bad 2020. It's obviously started off bad 2021. Let's turn it around. So Mark and Michelle, who love the horse. The horse has been, they were some of our owners in the earlier days. This was the first horse that they got involved with us, I believe. And a horse that meant a lot to a lot of people. As much as Cruising in Style has been erratic, he's been with us for a long time. This is a horse that was a foundation horse for the stable. Both him and Lawmaker on virtually the first big year of the stable, the first horses that put us on the map. Cruising in Style won his first sire stake in New York. Lawmaker won his first sire stake, I believe, in Pennsylvania. So, horses, definitely the first horse that ever won a sire stakes for the stable.ca was Cruising in Style, and definitely the first horse that ever won one in Pennsylvania was Lawmaker. These are horses that mean a lot to me, that meant a lot to us, and certainly mean a lot to Mark and Michelle. So let's try and get things back on track. Race him in Monticello a few times. Get some confidence back into this horse and get him back moving. You know, for the people out there to say, he's washed up. He's a 6-year-old trotter. He's far from washed up. Is he in a slump? Obviously. But there's no reason he can't come back out of it. There's no physical reason. He never went lame. He's not coming back from any sort of issues at all. He's the same now as he was when he was 3. So there's no reason that Cruising in Style can't bounce back. Enough said about that. I said I wouldn't talk about him. I did. So we didn't have a great week at the track in Pennsylvania, aside from the day I was there, which wasn't a great day, but a good day. Rooney Blue Chip raced that day at Northfield Park. He was awesome. Won My Heart Hanover, was fantastic. Everybody else raced pretty good. Now, some of those horses are in the Meadowlands Sale. I told you guys the other day, Beach Boutique is in the Meadowlands Sale. And some people ask why. Because of the timing. She's a very well-bred 4-year-old mare with a mark of 54. She probably has some residual value, but it's not going to be there forever. If we try and sell her in March or April, there may not be too many people interested in trying to breed a horse off the racetrack later in the breeding season. So now is the time to do that. Bottle of Red, very consistent filly, does well on the track. Obviously not as well bred as Beach Boutique, but at the same time a good filly in her own right, and fits a lot of classes in a lot of places and shows she can race anywhere. So again, getting to that boiling point, hi sweetie, getting to the boiling point at the Meadows has been a problem also, so we want to nip that in the bud. Do you want to take that, please? Thank you. Thank you. Rooney Blue Chip, you know, from what he shows, he can make some money in that class, so it wasn't we have to get him out of here. We were in that mode for 2 months. We had to sell him. Now that he fits in this class and does well, I believe Rooney Blue Chip will bring $16,000 or $17,000 at the Meadowlands Sale, and he should, the way he's racing. Billy Rhodes got him racing good. Finally, now it's only 2 races, but we found some consistency. Billy believes he can win that race next week, so he'll race him once more, and then he's going to the sale. I'm Hill on Wheels, totally different situation. He had hurt himself at the end of the year. He started back jogging, but there's no residual issue in that left hind leg that we had crowd, but the problem is, you can't push the same with a horse. You can't write down on a calendar, this is how we're going to train this horse down. You have to do it according to an issue like that. So, looking at his issue, knowing he's a New Jersey bred, he may be eligible, he may be worth some money to somebody racing in Freehold. But at the same time, I don't think he's going to really fit into what we're trying to do here at the stable. That makes sense. I was going to put him in the Ohio sale, but why not sell him in New Jersey since he is a New Jersey bred? He'll be going to the Meadowlands Sale. And then West 52nd, for similar reasons to Bottle of Red, he's running out of the condition. The one he's racing in Dover, he can do well. Didn't race well his last start. Jim felt that he had his air shut off, which he's done before in the past at 2 and 3. Easy to do that with him, but for the most part, he's been a pretty good horse for us. Once he leaves that class in Dover, Jim said, you know, when he's out of there, he's got to go in a claimer. Well, let's be a little preemptive. Let's say, you know what? If you want to buy him, you still got 2 starts in this class in Dover, and then you have to race him in a claimer or somewhere else. That might be enticing for somebody else to purchase the horse. So before we have to go and put him in a claimer, let's put him in the sale. So that's the reason that those 5 horses are in the sale. Not really the end of the world. I certainly have absolutely no issue with those 5 horses. It's just time. That's really what it is, timing. So it's time for them to go. But today, this week, and especially today, was all about the babies. I didn't know what to think. We're a little bit behind. You know, we usually have pushed a little bit by now. And just from the weather and everything that went on with COVID and racing and running around, we just haven't got there yet. So today was the first day I really pushed some horses, and I didn't know how it would go, and man, there was some real good looking horses. I'm going to go through the sets with you, all the sets. But before I do that, I want to go through the horses that weren't in today and explain why. Starting with Mischievous Rose. There are 4 horses in the burn that had a lot of mucus over the first month and a half they were here. You get there in the morning, you hook them up, and you hear them cough a couple of times. I just want to nip that in the bud. These are healthy looking horses, so let's let their immune system take over. Let's take the stress of training them and jogging them and being in a large setting off of their immune system. leave them alone out in the field and let them get over it in a healthy manner. We've never done it completely like that before, so this is why we're doing it now. So there was 3 or 4 horses that were turned out for 3 weeks. Mischievous Rose is going to get about 2 weeks. They said she was out there a few days and stopped coughing right away. She looked awesome last time she went, and it's going to be, for the most part, full speed ahead from here to June for most of these horses. So let's hit the ground running. I don't mean on the run. I mean, let's hit the ground on the trot and get it right from day one. Mischievous Rose could easily take a couple of weeks off, and she is. So she was out in the field. What's wrong, sweetie? Do you want my phone? Okay. I'll give you this other phone. My old phone. It's got your picture on it. I know there's no network. I see it. There you go.
Yeah.
Next was Century Invictus. He wasn't in today because he was castrated. We had a splint done on him. He was castrated. When he come back, he'll come out swinging his first start. Very happy with the way this horse has looked. A little cranky on the track once in a while. It's well documented why we castrated him. I don't want to go over why we did on this video, so I'll just touch on it lightly. But Century Invictus castrated 2 days ago. That's why he wasn't in. Grace. I'm really only talking to myself because I'm the only owner in Grace. She had OCDs removed from her hocks, and of Tom's healed up quickly. Had nothing to do why she rolled off today. Grace is going to need another week or 2, and I'm in no rush with Grace. So Grace just had her OCDs out 2 weeks ago. She'll start jogging next week. You'll probably see her on the next drone video. Procrastinator was the first one to go. He always couldn't shake that head cold, that mucus, that thick yellow snot was always there. And couldn't shake it. Got him out to the farm. It took 10 full days out in the farm, out in the field. Finally, Timmy and Shauna said, no, his nose is starting to look good now. So, good. That's exactly what we needed to see from Procrastinator. So, he'll come back in Monday. The Swan Colt, $1 Million Swan, just hasn't got everything put together properly yet. Looked better all week. I'll probably start training him a little bit this week to see how he feels. You'll likely see him on the next drone session, but every horse takes a little bit longer. Some horses get it right away, and some horses don't. If you guys remember the very early preliminary videos, 1, 2, skip if you couldn't hit the trot to save her life. And that's what trotting hobbles on, and tons of weight. We got the hobbles off her now. She's trotting great. Just takes time now. $1 Million Swan does stand off a little bit. So if he interferes, he's going to need that confidence. It's okay. He's going to need that confidence to move forward, and it's going to take some time. So we'll put that work into him this week, and hopefully we'll see him soon under the drone. Harvard Yard, obviously she's not here because she's in Pennsylvania. I saw her a couple of times this week. She looks fantastic at Tim Twaddle's barn. Everybody likes this filly that is around her. Sweet on Pete, same reason for Mischievous Rose and Procrastinator. Just wanted to give her time to get over that little bug that she couldn't seem to shake. And by all accounts, her and Ty One On both went out the same day in the same truckload. I dropped them off, and they'll come back in first of the week. By all accounts, they seem fine. Now, World for Two and Twinbee Have an Hour were both castrated on. Were both castrated this week on the same day as Century Invictus, so that is why they are both off. So 3 new castrations this week: Century Invictus, World for Two, and Twinbee Have an Arrow. Oh goodness! So when it came to the sets, I want to get into the sets and talk about every horse in every set. This is a long opening, but you know I can cut it off now and talk about the sets. But I'm going to talk about the sets, and then I'm going to make you guys a top 10 list because I can, and I will. So we're going to talk about the first set. I went with Twinkle in Her Eye. I hadn't seen Twinkle in Her Eye in quite a while, and she looked exceptionally good today. I could have pushed her in that snowy far turn, but I didn't want to put her on the run, and I hadn't gone with her in a while. I didn't want to push and push and push and have her make a break, so I just let her pace to the wire. She was very, very good. Those were 3 Ontario breds, or 1, 2, 3 in that first set. 2 of them were Better's Delights. The other filly is Better Than Cheddar. Better B. Sawyer and Amy McDonald was very, very good today. Closing hard in at her was Peanut Butter and Jelly and Jimmy Gillespie. I held third with Twinkle in Her Eye. She was very good, closing in fourth. Keep your eye on Luck of the Dragon. This horse looks very, very nice. Looks like a different horse now. Teresa has done a great job with this horse, and I don't mean to single out caretakers in any way. Shelby, all our caretakers do a great job. Peanut Butter and Jelly, and Shelby does a great job with her also. And then Miss Mildred's was a little bit back. Almost Their Boss was in behind them, and Confederate Cruiser. They all went a little bit slower. I'd like to put I'd like to put flip-flops on Confederate Cruiser and back off with him a little bit. Now, keep in mind, his brother broke his knee in May as a 2-year-old, so I have that in my mind also. Looks a lot like that horse, paces a lot like that horse, so it only stands to reason that there's a possibility he may have the same weaknesses of that horse. So I'm going to keep a close eye on Confederate Cruiser, but I was happy with what I saw today. Miss Mildred was a little bit, coughed a little bit today also, so again, keeping an eye on her. And then Almost There Boss. I just told Brody for you know, I don't want to push this horse hard. Just teach him to sit in a hole and finish up your mile. And that's all I need to see. That's exactly what he did. Hi. Second set was a good set also. Arches Rainbow was awesome. And I told everybody out there, you want shares in Arches Rainbow, which you should, especially if you're in Ontario. There's only one place you can get them, and that is the New Year's group. There's still shares left in that group, and I will be pushing those all weekend. By Monday, I want to start closing that group down. If you're one of our clients that owns a piece of that bought into the New Year's group, you guys knew, I already explained it to you, that one of the racehorses in that group was Jesse Balboa. We sold him. So rather than try and work out something else where I put another horse into that group, nope, I'm going to make it one better. For those for those of you who bought that, Addy Bear, for those of you who bought into that 20% of Jesse Balboa through the New Year's group, you're going to get a dividend, so to speak, right away, I guess, because you guys bought in at 240 Canadian. That 20% was worth 220 American when I sold Jesse Balboa. So anybody buying into the New Year's group, you are going to get you're going to get some money back right off the bat, and that's the plan for. There you go, honey. That's the plan for Jesse Balboa and the New Year's group. So, back to the second set. Arches Rainbow manhandled them today and looked very, very good. Unbeatable Kemp was good. Spent was good. You could see in the turns Spent was spinning his wheels a little bit and that icier surface. I wish he had been in a later set when the surface started to loosen up a little bit and get a little wet. He would have been much, much better, but he was good today. Finished up his mile strong. Unbeatable Kemp rolled off earlier on, but was very, very good in the mile. Amor Diener was good. Now, Colt went with Amor Diener. Colt's a good guy, but I can't wait to go with Amor Diener next time. He's a real, real nice horse. Bomb Hugger rolled off in that deeper stuff in the far turn, and Slim Jimmy come charging out of the clouds in the last turn. Hey, don't do that. Come charging out of the clouds. Looked like he was going to be second, and I picked him off. Addy Bear, don't do that, please. Let me see. You want me to get you some pitchies? You'd like that, would you? Oh, yeah? Okay, hold on. I'll get you a picture here. We'll get you some pictures. We'll go to the gallery. Ooh, what about that pitchy? Slide them. Just slide them. They can slide. It's hard to believe that a 2-year-old knows how to slide things on a phone. Just slide like this. Look. Slide. Do you know how to slide? Yeah, slide. You piggy. So, Arches Rainbow was fantastic in set number 2. Spent got up for second. Slim Jimmy third. Unbeatable Kemp. Actually, they were right there together. And then a little bit back to Amor Diener and Bomb Hugger. What's wrong, sweetie? Do you want this bag? No? All right, we'll throw that one out. I'm running out of things to give you so that you don't torture me. You want that? Okay. Then we went to set number 3, and the latest driver change you're ever going to see. As we were turning to go, I had scored down Isa 10. She felt great. Amy was having a little bit of trouble with 1-2 skip a few. We literally pulled the horses up to the fence and switched. I went with 1-2 skip a few. I just let her sit in the outside. You could see her throwing her head. I don't know what was going on with her mouth today. Might put a martingale on her next week, but I just let her float along to the outside until she felt like she just slid into third gear, and then I let her bounce, and she was very, very good. Kathy with an Eye was very good for a horse that was way more immature than these horses. Kathy with an Eye wasn't even broke till almost the first part of December, I think. And Isa 10 and 1-2 skip a few. These horses were bought in the first Ohio sale. So you can only imagine, as far as being ready to go. Yeah, as far as being ready to go and what they were able to do, Isa 10 and 1-2 skip a few, who finished 1-2, were way ahead of Kathy with an Eye, who ended up third. Hill of Magic, Matt's MVP. Both of them, they said both of them went very good, and I like both of those horses. Particularly interested in Matt's MVP because he's made mistakes in the past. But Johnny said he was very, very good today. Now we went out with set number 4. I was interested. Everybody likes to talk about how our horses are going, but we never really get to talk about Renegade Gypsy. Again, a Renegade Gypsy. Yeah, sweetie. Do you want to look at this then? I'm really running out of things here. Yeah, I know. I'm running out. I'm really low on things. Fourth one, we went with Voyage of Ice and Fire, Blue Bayou, Dio, Tioga Sunshine, Renegade Gypsy, LSL, and Resolute Bay. Resolute Bay made a little break in the last turn. I was worried he might, but I really had to go with Tioga Sunshine today. This was the first week for hobbles for Resolute Bay, so I wasn't really concerned. I went with him the other day. I thought he was fantastic, and I'm sure he'll be fine next week. But today, he was a little. Actually, I do want to get flip-flops put on him. He's just got a steel set of shoes. I think his knees bother him a little bit from time to time, the little red guy. So I'm going to put some flip-flops on him. We already have them on Tioga Sunshine, and she was fantastic today. That was a big last half. And when Renegade Gypsy, my God almighty, that's a good-looking horse. He cleared over the lead. I said, Jesus, that's a nice horse. He's a giant. He's as big as any horse I can ever remember us breaking and training down. He looked great. I just got by him down the backstretch with Tioga Sunshine, and she was all business today. But I worked her kind of hard this week. I thought, James said, I doubt she'll like the front end. I said, I think this will be a new and improved Tioga Sunshine this week. You're not going to have to worry about what she's going to do today, and she was awesome. Renegade Gypsy was awesome also. James said Blue Bayou Dio knuckled over in the turn in the snow, so we're going to put a little blister on her stifles, but he said she was very good otherwise. Voyage of Ice and Fire ran in both turns. Now here's the thing, Voyage of Ice and Fire loves his hobbles on snug. We put them on snug, and when he went out on the track, I thought they looked very tight. Now, I can change them on the track. Reach down, if you're used to doing it, it's not that hard to do. If you're not used to doing it, it is a little harder to do. And I know that Johnny probably thought jogging around that the hobbles looked fine, but they were a little loose, and you could tell in the slippery stuff he just rolled off in the turns a little bit. Not the end of the world. The least of my worries on earth is Voyage of Ice and Fire. I love this horse. I can't wait to go with him. Next week, I'll be going with him. Blue Bayou Dio, as I said, knuckled over. Tioga Sunshine was fantastic. Renegade Gypsy was very good. And LSL, Colt was going with LSL, and he was charging on the end of the mile. LSL, I know, Mommy's coming to get you. She just pulled in behind us. LSL was charging on the end of the mile also, and Colt loves going with the horses, and he got along well with LSL today. He's just about as honest as any horse can be. The only issue any of us have with LSL is that he can be a little rude in the barn. By a little, I mean a lot. Everybody around him, everybody on that side has asked us and begged us, could you castrate this horse? I know there's probably a couple of clients out there that don't think that's important, but more than anything, the most important thing is to make sure that our clients, my kids, our kids, and everybody's safe in the barn. And if Ellis is being a little bad in the barn, then we got to nip that in the bud. So we'll castrate him next week. And then Resolute Bay was trotting good. Amy said just coming out of the turn, he went to switch leads and rolled off. I'm not worried about Resolute Bay. He's another horse. I just want to train him around 35 all the way through to the middle of February. There's about 7 or 8 horses that you can feel, they just feel a little frail, right? And it's not their fault. Lots of horses were like that all last year. My Jazz was like, I keep using her because she is the perpetual underdog, right? She didn't look like a great horse last year. She was frail. We had to be careful with her. She made breaks. We ended up putting hobbles on her. There was a lot of things that she did wrong that she ended up doing very right in the summer. So I can't stress enough not to worry so much. A horse like Resolute Bay, that horse will be just fine. I have no problems with Resolute Bay. As I said, so in that set, Tioga Sunshine was all business today. I knew she would be. LSL, very strong today. Renegade Gypsy was great today. Blue Bayou knuckled over. Voyage of Ice and Fire rolled off in the turns. And as I said, I already know why. For sure it was his hobbles. And Resolute Bay, just when he was switching leads coming out of the turn, made a little break. So we went into set 5, and we always talk about Harlan L. The reason we talk about Harlan L, if you watch him sometimes, his ears will just lay right on his neck. He just looks sour, but a different kind of sour. The other day I just tapped the shaft and he kicked the jog cart, and I hit him a little swat, and he straightened right up. I think Harlan's used to being being babied, and when you put him in gear and you make him work, he does take it seriously. You could see that today. Harlan-El is transforming, and I know that, James, from when we first broke him, like, man, come on, he hits his knees, he pins his ears. I don't know if this guy's going to make it, but I'm almost positive a horse like Harlan-El will make it. The faster he goes, he gets stronger and broader in his shoulders. So as he puts weight on, which he will because he eats great, you're going to see those shoulders start to broaden out. I think he'll even not hit his knees when he gets to the races. But he went through, this horse, for you horsemen out there, it was that much snow in the last turn. And it was affecting a lot of the horse. You could tell they made breaks in the last turn. You could see them be unsure of themselves and roll off. It's not the end of the world, but Harlan-El had egg bars on. Egg bars. So that's a bar that looks just as it sounds, an egg. It encompasses the entire foot, and it's very difficult for horses to get their footing with those on, especially in snowy tracks. Harlan-El had those on. I moved him out from the inside to the 3-wide path in the middle of that snow, and he was coming down the lane. He wants, even though he's like a poser, right? He tries to pretend he's angry and sour, but really he's not. When you really ask him to come forward, he does. And he was great in the mile, finished up awesome. Harlan-El, I like him because he'd given everybody the wrong impression from day one, that he wasn't going to be a good horse, that he wasn't going to be a horse that would make it to the track or impress anybody. Quite the opposite for me. I like Harlan-El. I like everything about him. I like the way he goes about his work. I like the way he approaches his work. Yeah, he can be a little crabby. He's just got a little edge on him, and I like that too. So Harlan-El, although he didn't win today, he got beat by 2 powerhouses. Probably our 2 best fillies that we have on the property hooked up. Purple Aura, we put a hood on her today. Johnny said she just wasn't grabby. He said, but we don't need her grabby. I said, no, not until next summer. So Purple Aura sat outside Rosie's Masterpiece. They were awesome today, both those fillies, and Harlan-El was coming to them. Massive Profit did his work well, but Massive Profit can be a little cheater sometimes too, and if you really snap him and put him in gear, he'll go. But Amy was going with him. She said, I didn't want him to run, I just let him do his work. So he can do his work today, but he will do my work next week. Massive Profit will be a much different horse next time you see him. And I know a lot of people are going to say, Garden State Dio, hey Anthony, can we put the hobbles on her? Can we do this? The answer to all of your questions is no, we're not. I'm going to leave her just how she is for now. She did cut her foot today. We're going to put bell boots on her next week. But I love her gait. I love what she's doing. And I love the fact that she continues to want to do more. I don't feel that she needs the hobbles just yet. I have no interest in pushing and pushing and pushing and having her. You guys have to understand. And this is one of those times where I'm just going to ask you to trust me, right? Garden State Dio is not her sister. And keep in mind, her sister run almost every single time we ever trained her in her entire life at Tomiko. For those of you who don't remember, go back and look at almost every training set from Spirit of Dio when she was 2. You'll be hard-pressed to find one without an X on the line. And it doesn't bother me at all. Garden State Dio approaches her work well. She's trying to get better. She's a giant filly. And I don't feel the need to make her trot just yet. And I know that kind of contradicts everything I've ever told you about the way we train horses, but in this particular instance, I'm in no rush with Garden State Dio. So you're not going to see any massive modifications to her equipment or weight put on her or anything else. I like her just the way she is right now, so she's going to stay as is. Next set we went out with, and 3 Point Blue Chip, a lot of people watching this guy, and it was starting to get muddy. I was just going to stay too wide. I wasn't even going to get down in behind everybody, just for the mud coming up. It was starting to get tacky. And he got bored going into the first turn when we were jogging around. He got bored, and he rolled off, just to be a little goofball. I hit him a snap with the whip, and he was airborne after that. All business, very, very strong. Rose Above It got interfered with when Will to Win Hanover. James Figure did the same thing. He said, your filly run, your colt, my filly run at the same time, just goofing off. And then they were all business afterwards. He said she did get a little rough in the other turn where the snow was. He said, but she was really, really good. I'm not concerned about it. That was James, and I'm not concerned about it either. So Will to Win Hanover made a break. Everybody except for Granite and me made a break in there. I did make a break in there. 3 Point Blue Chip was very, very strong and looked as good as we could ask him to look today. Granite Hill was good. Still a little weaker than I want to see him. I'd said to Deb, we're going to Baycox him a little bit next week. He just seems like he's a little swimmy. That could just be maturity or growth, but with very few side effects on the negative side of Baycoxing a horse. To me, I'm going to go ahead and do that with Granite Hill. Very happy with him today. Was a strong second. Between the other ones, I don't know. Rose Above It, Will Do in Hanover, Duke Dio. They all kind of did their work here and there. I think you're probably going to see Duke Dio come up to the top barn. We'll make a few little changes with him. He's a Trixton, so that was always going to happen likely anyway. We'll probably swap him out for an Ontario bred for Mario this week. And I was happy with the way he looked also. Then in the last set, we had everybody run except for our boy, You Gotta Believe. He has changed immensely since the last time I've seen him. When I looked over my shoulder in the last turn and everyone was on the run, I snapped him on the tail. He felt like a racehorse finishing up. He was flying down the lane and looked very good. I know why of Tom run. The track was starting to get a little icy. Now it got wet on top of snow. Got a little icy, and she just kind of lost herself. When she's in attack mode, you can't knock her off her feet. But if she isn't in attack mode, sometimes she'll lose herself. This was her first training mile in a month since we got her operated on. Certainly all the gimmies in the world for Of Tom. I'm certainly not concerned with the break today. You Gotta Believe was very impressive. Loving Beauty's going to need some work. Stonebridge Dolce knuckled over a bunch of times. We baycoxed her also. We're going to blister her stifles. She's going to be a work in progress. I know that Dr. Stiller said, geez, you haven't had any of the shares up for sale yet, because we're going to have to wait until people are going to want her, right? And Stonebridge Dolce has a lot of work to do to get to that point. You can't overload her with work. You just need to take your time, and that's exactly what we're doing with her. Prairie Fire rolled off in the same place. He's coming to the principal's office this week. I'll be working with him every day. Stonebridge Acadi made a little break. Mario said he's just throwing his head. So overall, You Gotta Believe, fantastic. Prairie Fire made a little break. Of Tom made a little break. Stonebridge Acadi, little breaks around. Loving Beauty and Stonebridge Dolce will be working with a number of those horses. I'm not worried about Loving Beauty. Not even in the least bit worried about Of Tom. Stonebridge Dolce is going to take a lot of work on over the next 60 days. Prairie Fire is going to take a lot of work on this week. And Stonebridge Acadi, just a little work needed with him also. But You Gotta Believe was fantastic. A big day, a great day today training horses. I am going to give you a top 10 list. In fact, I'm going to do it right now in my driveway before I go watch the football in just a minute. I'm giving you a top 10 list right now.